rung of the ladder of every society. Without action, what was already an unacceptable gap between rich and poor in Latin America could widen as exports, family income, and remittances decline. So we will support efforts to create jobs, improve education, expand access to health care, and broaden opportunities across the Americas. Continuing trade integration is a vital part of the return to economic progress, as well as long-term stability and social opportunity. But we have seen that while free trade promotes economic growth and reduces absolute poverty, gains are not always shared, and promises of opportunity remain elusive. That's why we'll ask our hemispheric partners to ensure that all their citizens, regardless of background, have the opportunity to secure a better life for themselves and their children. We support initiatives such as Pathways to Prosperity in the Americas, which seek to ensure the benefits of trade are shared widely within our societies. We will also work to expand and refocus pathways to better promote social justice and inclusiveness, expand participation, and help farms, small businesses, craftspeople, and traditionally excluded groups reap the fruits of international commerce. On a bilateral basis and in multilateral forums, we'll promote the development and enforcement of national and international standards to protect the environment and labor rights, which are needed to connect rising productivity to rising personal incomes. We must make clear that these standards are not concessions grudgingly required as a condition of market access, but necessary components of trade policy that are advantageous to us all. Education is a key element of the broader agenda that the President brought to the summit because it is also a linchpin of economic development and an engine of opportunity. While enrollments have swelled throughout our hemisphere, too many young people fail to complete their studies and lack access to the quality of education they deserve. During my time as Dean of the LBJ School at the University of Texas, I saw how science and education generate new solutions and provide new avenues for development. I saw students from throughout the Americas and other parts of the world thrive both academically and personally, developing skills and habits of mind that they would take back to their home countries. We are dedicated to finding ways of sharing scientific knowledge and leveraging science to improve people's lives. That's why we're asking Congress for $82 million for education projects in the region. As the President pointed out at the Summit of the Americas, this is not charity, but an investment in our future. We also want to build partnerships from the ground up. When Secretary Clinton visited Mexico last month, she met with citizens who are collaborating across borders to improve people's lives. She announced that the United States will support a Mexican summit of youth leaders to connect young people who are working to end violence throughout Latin America. We will be launching new people-to-people initiatives to engage the public directly, including through civil society organizations, NGOs, the private sector, and academia. Just this morning, I discussed the Costa Rica USA Foundation, CRUSA, which Costa Rica's newly appointed ambassador to the United States raised with me. This foundation, initially seeded with $47 million in USAID legacy money, has already donated $47 million to programs in science and technology, education, and the environment, and has $68 million left in cash as a return on wise investments made. It's a good example of the innovative public-private partnerships that can leverage initial government efforts to advance education and development. The energy that our economies require for economic development also has been a principal driver of climate change. We see the human toll. In this hemisphere alone, we must confront rising sea levels in the Caribbean, diminishing glaciers in the Andes, and powerful storms on the Gulf Coast. The United States will take the lead in addressing this challenge, both by making commitments of our own and engaging other nations in a common effort to do the same. We must move beyond the old false debate that pitted reductions in global warming against economic growth to understand that a partnership on energy and climate change can promote both growth and an environmentally sustainable future. That is why President Obama proposed the new Energy and Climate Partnership of the Americas that seeks to leverage the example of countries like Mexico and Brazil, which promote renewable energy. Together, we can work to increase efficiency, improve our infrastructure, share technologies, and support investments in renewable sources of energy. By cooperating, we can create jobs, lower greenhouse gas emissions, and turn the hemisphere into a global model. We will also work to address the rising threat of crime that endangers too many of our communities in the Americas. A genuine security partnership with the region requires more than dismantling narcotics networks and destroying caches of illicit drugs. We are proud to partner with President Calderon in his fight against drug cartels and with partners in Central America and the Caribbean in the Merida Initiative. We will also support our neighbors in the fight against the gangs and the street crime that threaten the well-being of their citizens, and work with regional leaders to create a virtuous cycle of declining crime, fewer drugs, and better governance. We will do more within our borders to reduce drug demand and stem the flow of illegal weapons and laundered money going south. But as we step up to the plate to set an example in acknowledging our share of responsibility for common problems, we will be looking for partners who demonstrate the political will to meet these challenges with us head on. I'd like to close by bringing this all back home. What does this all mean for the average American? If current trends are any indication, no other part of the world will have a greater impact on the future of our nation, culturally, demographically, and linguistically. We have a responsibility to ensure that impact is positive and that our own influence and presence is a source for the good of all of the hemisphere's citizens. After all, we are the United States of America and of the Americas. We are confident of our nation and the region's bright future, but it will take sustained, high-quality engagement that is based on mutual respect and partnership. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your questions.
We have time for 2 questions. I think the Secretary gave us a real tour de force here, and I think we have time for 2 questions before we go up to the dining room. So please just identify yourself with your question. Yes. See if you can get to a microphone or...
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm Ruth S.B. Romero of Washington, D.C., the law firm of Greenberg and Trowick. While you were talking about the sustained engagement that we look forward to in the United States during this next administration with our neighbors in the hemisphere, I was just wondering what's become of the Millennium Challenge account, and are you still intending to work through that vehicle?
Absolutely. The Millennium Challenge account and the Millennium Challenge Corporation remains a central part of our engagement. In many ways reflects the kinds of values and principles that I was talking about in the speech, which is a strong sense that, that strong performers, countries that make a commitment to democracy and good institutions should be rewarded, and that they should be an important consideration in how we partner and provide support. And that's, I think, an innovation which we intend to continue. There's strong support in the Congress for that, in the budget. And so I see this very much as a part of our engagement going forward.
Do we have another question? Mooney? But just, I'll let you introduce yourself, Mooney.
Figueres from Costa Rica. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your comments. What about USAID? How do you envision their role under this administration?
USAID is yet another of the pillars in talking about how we engage and work with our partners. It's very complementary to what we're doing with the Millennium Challenge account in the MCC. It is a capacity that has been some of the best parts of America in the past, and which frankly has not gotten the attention that it deserves in recent years. The AID programs are critical to economic development, to governance, to dealing with issues like education, like healthcare. And yet what we've seen over the years is that there's been a diminution in our capacity to really develop these programs effectively. We've seen a dramatic decline in the number of people working at AID, which has had an impact on our ability to plan effectively, to understand and learn the lessons from the past. And so we're committed, working with the Congress, to try to strengthen the capacity of AID to deliver not just in the resources in the program, but actually our own capacity to do an effective job of engaging with our partners in developing the kinds of programs that we need. And the Secretary, I think, sees this as a very important capacity. When we talk about our new strategy going forward, the Secretary likes to talk about the 3 Ds: defense, diplomacy, and development. And it shows you the centrality that she places and the administration places on the development agenda, of which AID is just an essential component.
Okay, I guess one more, if there is one. Take one more.
Mr. Secretary, Nelson Cunningham at McClarty Associates. The accomplishments of the administration in Latin America have been noteworthy in the first several months, particularly considering that you haven't yet had your full team in place. Despite the fact that Tom Shannon has done a marvelous job in the role in the last several months, we were all very pleased to see Arturo Valenzuela's nomination move forward yesterday. What can you tell us about the pace of rolling out the ambassadorships that you'll need to carry out your full mission in Latin America?
Well, thank you, Nelson. One only has to know a little bit about Nelson's background to understand the poignance of this question. First of all, I'm delighted that Arturo was announced. I think you all should take credit for the fact that your holding of the meeting has gotten this nomination out and going forward. And maybe the holding of your meeting will get more nominations out on the ambassadorial process. This is obviously something the administration takes very seriously. We're very committed to finding the best and highest quality individuals. This is something that the President has made clear to all of us as he goes through the selection process, that he wants to think very carefully to make sure that we have the kinds of people representing different cross-sections of our own society to represent the United States. I've had an opportunity in recent weeks to meet some of the people who are in the process now of being reviewed. I can't obviously give you a specific answer because there's a process that needs to be go through to carefully look at the qualifications and the background of individuals. But I feel very confident that when you begin to learn some of the names of the people that we will be sending out to this hemisphere, you'll see that they are very talented people with great knowledge and experience that will be very powerful representatives of the United States and powerful partners for you all going forward.
I want you to know that was not a planted question. Anyway, let's give the Secretary a big hand.